Welcome back, everyone, to episode 2 of the Casual Talk Pod. Obviously, check the rock back again, and I got my boy.
Imanol Perez, Mastermind Hoops, you already know.
You already know. And we just got done watching a very interesting game 2 of the NBA Finals. And Imanol, you wanna give it a little starter over here?
Game one was the Celtics going on that long run in game 4. In the fourth quarter, my bad. And second game, Warriors to respond, and they responded. Simple as that.
So let's talk about Steph Curry goes off in game 1 for 21 points in the first quarter. And then the Warriors just like they kept the lead, but then the Celtics started to chip away. And Curry ended up going 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter. Dude, he disappeared.
I wouldn't say the Celtics chipped away. Golden State went on a huge run in the third quarter in game 1, and then the Celtics just responded with 40 in the fourth.
Jaylen Brown came out, and he was pretty much like, "This is my game."
Yeah, Jaylen Brown did not want to lose that game.
It was really interesting looking at the stats and all of that. Clay, he had 14. Curry, he did him, but no one else really showed up besides Curry. Poole had an awful game. I mean, Iggy was nowhere to be found.
I mean, Wiggins had a decent game, 20 points, 8 for 15 shooting.
True. But then at that game, I was worried because I said in the first pod that I had Warriors in 6. And after seeing that go down, I kind of was regretting my bet a little bit. But you were enjoying it a little bit.
I wasn't. I don't want the Celtics to win, but I do think they're going to win. I mean, as simple as this. The Celtics defense is set up for anybody but Curry to beat you. They're begging anybody else to take a step up, and in game 1, no one really stepped up. Wiggins had a decent third quarter, but no one really stepped up outside of Curry. And once they put the double and press on Curry, and Curry's either forced to take really bad shots or pass out of shots, that's when the long run happened. And obviously when Marcus Smart was sitting on the court, on the bench.
We're gonna be seeing that a lot from the Warriors, though. Not the Warriors, the Celtics trapping Curry, because I think they realized that they're gonna have to do it if they want to win, and they did it, and they executed it well. But if we move on to game 2, though, I mean, that game was just an absolute massacre after halftime.
Yeah, pretty much the Warriors found their footing. They started moving the ball a lot better than they were moving it in game 1. And it's pretty much what we were saying in the last pod, that the Warriors offense is going to have to need a jump start. They're going to probably be cold. They're not going to be at their usual footing. And it showed in the fourth quarter of game 1, but game 2, obviously they're back in the pace. They're back in rhythm. They moved the ball really well. They found their spots. They found their shooters. They found what they need to find. I mean, I think there was a time where I think it was 13 of the first 15 field goals were all assisted.
Yep.
At one point. Yeah. It was ridiculous.
Jaylen Brown, he came out the way he ended game 1, which was, for a Celtics fan, nice to see. But then after the first quarter, he just disappeared.
Yeah, he wasn't to be seen. I do think that Draymond Green, with his antics when the foul happened and they both got chippy, I do think that took Jalen Green out of the game.
Draymond is just that type of player, though. You expect that out of him. He's gonna chip and stab at you until you crumble, and he made Jaylen Brown crumble. I mean, he had 17 points, but 11 of them came in the first quarter, though.
I mean, that's why you pay Draymond the money he pays. I mean, he's the best defender in the NBA, and he knows how to win the mental warfare with any player he gets there.
Jason Tatum had 28, but I mean, he did it on solid shooting numbers, 8 for 19. I mean, that's not the best, but he was 6 for 9 from 3 and 6 for 8 from the free throw line, but his plus minus was -36.
He was very bad. He was very reckless with the ball. He made a lot of turnovers, a lot of bad passes. A lot of the Celtics passing in the first quarter was very questionable. They were looking at weird spots and shooting motions. They were just not finding the shooters correctly, and they were not making the right passes.
I'm gonna make a connection right here. So I know Derek White isn't Fred VanVleet, but out of the Magic, Sun and Blue, once Derek White, his kid was born, And the same thing happened with Fred Van Vliet in 2019. Those two just started to play so much better, and I'm starting to notice that about Derek White.
I was begging for the Heat to let Derek White shoot the three, and then all of a sudden he becomes a 3-point shooter. It's hilarious how things work out sometimes.
But like not just on the offensive end, but the way he was harassing Curry in the first half.
I mean, that's Derek White's MO anyways. He's a strong defender on the perimeter.
But the main reason why the Warriors won tonight was Steph Curry. I mean, like he's the only player that is playing good so far these first two games. And in the third quarter, dude went off.
I mean, he's the best shooter of all time. It's what you pay him to do.
I mean, what did he have? He had 29, 9 for 21 shooting, 5 for 12 from three. I mean, those are pretty much average Curry numbers right there on a good night. Clay is still playing awful.
I mean, it's hard to imagine Clay was going to come back from 2 foot injuries and come back to rhythm the way he was playing right before the injury. He's obviously going to have good games from here and there. Game 6, Clay. Happens. But yeah, it's hard to imagine him being consistent.
The one thing I really liked what Steve Kerr did was, except for sitting Clay for the rest of the fourth quarter, he kept him in to try and get a rhythm going, but he still couldn't get it going. So like, I'm really hoping, I want to see Clay come back to somewhat of what he was. Obviously, he's not going to be that amazing 3-and-D player and hit 13 threes in a game again, but like, I wanted him to start averaging at least 19, 20 points per game back before the KD incident happened in 2016 when he really flourished.
I mean, I think you got to give him a full off-season training camp, figure things out. It's hard to come back mid-season in rhythm. It's just hard, especially after 2 leg injuries that he sustained. I think give him an offseason. We'll see where he's at the beginning of next year. If he's starting to figure out the old Clay things again, his defense might not ever come back to where it used to be, though. He just lost so much motion and range of motion in his legs. You could see that he's very stiff out there, and he's getting blown by all the time nowadays, which is not what's going to happen to Clay 2-3 years ago.
Another player I want to talk about, Jordan Poole. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone has on Twitter, Instagram has saw that like half-court shot. I mean, that just wasn't it, but like he went on a solid run at the end of the third, then he hit that shot, and then like I think everyone knew that Boston wasn't gonna like try in the fourth quarter.
Jordan Poole is either Jordan Clarkson or Michael Jordan. There's no in between.
I mean, that was nothing but net too. It wasn't like
that was a dagger in the third quarter. Literally. It was an actual dagger.
Poole had 17 on 6 for 14 shooting, 5 for 9 from three. Great numbers. I like to see it. And then obviously Draymond did Draymond things. I mean, he doesn't score as much anymore, but he had 9, 5, and 7. I mean, that's typical Draymond numbers now.
I always find it funny how like when people say Steph Curry is the greatest point guard or second greatest point guard of all time, like Draymond Green's the actual point guard of this team. She plays the point power forward role, but he's actually the point guard of this team. And I always find that really funny.
With the way the Celtics are playing them, though, Curry needs to have the ball in his hand. The Warriors can't run that motion offense anymore.
No, they can't. But like they found a lot of good success off the pick and roll for Steph Curry today. That's something that benefited him a lot. Also helps when Daniel Theis is playing drop coverage on Steph Curry for some reason.
I like to say this man, biggest Daniel Theis hater in the world.
He's pointless. He does nothing on the court. He's so pointless.
He had one good block this game, and that's pretty much it.
Who plays drop coverage on Steph Curry? I'm still amazed by it. I don't care if he's half court. You don't play drop coverage on Steph Curry. That's an open shot for him.
But a player that got underappreciated, and it probably gets underappreciated almost all the time, Kevon Looney. I mean, he had 12 for 6 for 6.
Strong defender.
12 for 6 from 6 for 6 from shooting. I like Kevon Looney. I mean, he's the type of center that the Warriors need. Protects the rim.
Definitely a strong defender. He helps a lot on rotations. Someone that hasn't looked good so far, and I was thinking he's going to be the X factor, is Time Lord, Rob Williams. He just looks banged up. His leg is not having it.
He Smart got fouled and he fell awkwardly on like Robert's left leg. So I'm guessing that had something to do with him not playing. a
I
lot in the
mean,
second half.
regardless, he was on time restraint because
Yeah.
he's still suffering from that injury. But yeah, his injury is still bothering him. I can't imagine what a healthy time would look like on the Celtics team though.
Do you think it's time for the Celtics to go small? The way Curry has been shooting at this series, and like with the Warriors running the pick and roll, and like you're gonna need good perimeter defenders. Obviously, Tyson didn't work out on. I mean, like I'm sure Al Horford, he would do decently all right, but not the
So having Al
best.
Horford play the 5 and then Grant Williams play the 4,
Yeah, pretty much just going small.
it might work because you're gonna get a lot more shooting, and you need to match shooting with the Warriors because the Warriors are going to shoot out of the building.
I mean, it's just an idea and thought. I was thinking about it during the game. I'm like, there's no way that this big lineup is gonna work anymore.
It's not, especially with Robert Williams looking as hurt as he looks.
And with Jordan Poole coming back and having a good game too and shooting well.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, a big thing that I want to point out is that Derek White is outplaying Klay Thompson right now, and that is very huge for the Celtics if they have those type of players playing better than Klay Thompson.
The issue is that Tatum, he had a good game, but it wasn't good enough. He needs to take that next step up, and he needs to be averaging.
It's not just him though. Someone else has to step up next to him. Like you said, Jaylen Brown disappeared after the first quarter. Marcus Smart was nowhere to be seen this game. Yeah, someone just has to step up.
Marcus Smart had 2 points for 1 for 6 shooting. That's not it, man. I'm sorry.
It's not a lot of players to step up.
And
Derek White being your third best scorer is not a good sign unless he goes 25.
Not only that, but Al Horford, he only had 2 points tonight too.
A lot of the Celtic offense was just not to be seen anywhere.
Al Horford had 6 threes in game 1, and dude just disappeared.
A big thing was Marcus Smart's 5 turnovers as well. That is never going to help you. 18 turnovers in a game is never going to help you win a game. And in the NBA Finals, you can't have anything more than 12. And 12 is a bit pushing it.
So game 3, what is your prediction?
I think the Celtics will answer back. First game in Boston, the Garden. Ime will make the proper adjustments. I'm not worried about Ime making adjustments or not. I think the Celtics shooting will come back to form a little bit. I think it's time for the Warriors to get snuffed in the face a little bit. They'll probably reply in game 4.
See, I agree. The Celtics, they're not one of those, like, so far throughout this playoffs, they've never lost back-to-back games. And
they haven't lost back-to-back since January. And that was because half the starting lineup was out that game.
And then the way they responded in the Eastern Conference Finals when Jimmy went off for 46, and then 47. They went into Miami, won, and then it's just what the Celtics have been doing all playoffs is they refuse to lose back-to-back games. This series is going to go win, loss, win, loss, win, loss for each team until game 7.
I think it's still going to end in 6 with Boston. I think Boston will find a way to win game 5 and 6. But what I do want to point out is that Ime is really good at these adjustments. That's his bread and butter. That's been his bread and butter this whole playoffs. Ime is a strong head coach. I think he should be in consideration for a top 5 head coach at this point, even if it's his rookie year. He's been an assistant for what, 20 years?
Yeah, something like that.
He should have had this job. And he's making a lot of people regret not hiring him.
Not only that, but he's been assistant under great coaches too.
Yo, if Ime Udoka was the head coach for the Nets last year instead of Steve Nash, they would have won the championship.
Easily.
Even with the injuries, they would have won the championship.
I just don't. I mean, that's a different topic for a different day, but like.
It is, but Ime deserves his respect. He deserves his flowers.
Ime's up there for top 5 best coaches right now. But let's talk about a different coach, though. Quin Snyder steps down as the head coach of the Utah Jazz. And I know this man's excited because he calls me in the middle of the day when I'm doing something, interrupts me, and he's super excited about this.
All right, look. Quin Snyder is such a weird head coach for me because there's times where he looks like a little god in the regular season, and then he's always choking in the playoffs. I don't know if it's the team or he's just not making the proper adjustments or what, but the defensive structure of that team is really messy. It's not a good structure. I do think Quin Snyder at this point sees the opening in San Antonio once Popovich retires, and he's going to want that job because there's been rumors floating around by that. Another job I'd keep an eye on would be the Sixers head coaching job, because I think if Doc Rivers doesn't win a ring next year, he's getting booted out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the two jobs that he's probably potentially looking at. The question now is, what does Utah do?
So I think the way Utah is going to hire their next head coach is going to be what Donovan Mitchell wants. Because reports are that Donovan signed his extension because of Quin Snyder. And they're not going to just be willing to give him up without like a fight. So they got to do what Donovan wants. And one head coach that they're looking, or assistant coach that they're looking at, is one of the Bucks assistant coaches, which the Bucks already lost one assistant, Darvin, to the Lakers. I don't think they're going to let another one go. So it's really tough. I mean, Terry Stotts is out there. Not Terry Stotts. Scott Brooks is out there. James Borrego. I mean,
James Borrego is going to run Rudy Gobert out of Utah if Quin Snyder didn't do that already, because these are offensive-minded head coaches to a team that desperately needs defense, which is crazy to think when you have arguably the best rim protector in the NBA, and they can't figure out defense.
Another coach I'm really interested to see if Utah tries to go after him, Kenny Atkinson. I mean, he's an assistant for Golden State right now. He pretty much revised Jordan Poole's career. I mean, Jordan Poole had a good end of the last season, and he's been showing this entire season that he's going to be a good starter in this league down the line. So maybe Utah goes down the line of going for Kenny Atkinson.
I think Kenny Atkinson kind of has his foot already in the Charlotte job. We'll see how that coaching circle goes as well.
But if you're Utah, though, you're in a tough spot. Your head coach is out. Your starting center, who is Rudy Gobert, you're trash. You're trash.
Offensively.
You're trash. I don't like Rudy Gobert. He's not a good player. He doesn't deserve max money. And he literally says to the media, it's either me or Donovan.
That was a fake quote, to be fair.
I mean, still. We all know what Rudy's thinking right now. It's either
we do.
Yeah.
If I'm the Jazz, this roster, you need to understand that this is a very poorly constructed roster in the first place. It's really bad. Because you pretty much sacrificed your whole defense and you were just leaning on Rudy Gobert's defense and going more and more offense, but your offensive talent is Royce O'Neal and Bojan Bogdanovic.
Mike Conley.
Or Boban,
who's old.
Exactly.
Washed.
Exactly. Jordan Clarkson, who is very inefficient at times.
Kardashian curse.
Check out the video.
Yeah, check out my video on my Kardashian curse.
But yeah, it's a very poorly constructed roster. So if I was the GM for the Jazz, I'm trading both pieces and getting as much assets as possible as I can get and retooling the roster, because you can definitely afford to do that nowadays.
Okay, so since Donovan came out today and the rumors are coming out right now, where are your top 3 landing spots for him this in the upcoming off season or possibly at the trade deadline next season?
So, okay. First things first, this man is having the worst week possible, but Tyler Hero, you're going to Utah. I'm sorry.
Tyler Hero, bro, gets knocked out of the playoffs.
Gets caught cheating,
and he's at the club. Literally the night of losing in the playoffs.
Look, he lives in Miami, bro. That club he probably lives at the club.
But so you're thinking Miami probably?
I think Pat Riley makes the call. First things first, Pat Riley lost to Boston. He's not going to want that. He's not going to like that. He's been owning Boston since 1979. He's not going to like that. He's going to do whatever he needs to do to get someone next to Jimmy Butler, and bam, they need another scorer. Who better than a guy who averaged 32 points 2 years ago in the playoffs?
Exactly.
Who better? Donovan Mitchell, I mean, he's going to need to fix his defense. Miami does not play those games on the defensive end of the ball. Being next to Jimmy Butler, and we'll see who else is on the roster, who gets traded or not. But I'm assuming Depot stays unless some team offers him max money.
Mhm.
Having Depot as well next to him, these are strong defenders. They're going to help him.
PJ Tucker, Bam.
PJ Tucker, Bam. They're going to need another rim. They're going to need rim protection bad.
See,
Because playing Bam out of the rim protection does not help the team at all. Not because Bam's a strong perimeter defender, but you need someone at the rim.
So one team that's in the it's far away depending on where Quinn goes, but if Quinn ends up going to San Antonio, Donovan Mitchell and DeJounte Murray, I mean,
It's a strong fit. It's a very strong fit, especially because DeJounte Murray loves to get players going, and he needs a score next to his name. But I think the thing with San Antonio is that we've never seen them trade for an asset like that. We've seen them trade assets like Kawhi Leonard before, but that's because Kawhi wanted out. But we've never seen them go for a player like that.
I think it's time for the Spurs to get over that realization that you need to make moves. And not moves in the draft. I mean, making moves in the draft, you look at the Celtics, you look at the Warriors, perfect, beautiful. They did what they had to do, but that was over like a 6-year plus stretch for the Celtics and like over a decade for the Warriors.
I mean, I don't hate the Spurs young core. There's a lot to like there.
I mean, you got Lonnie Walker.
Lonnie Walker might leave this offseason potentially, but Jordan Primo is really nice. Or yeah,
Josh Primo.
Josh Primo. There you go. Thank
Josh
you.
Primo. You got Jakob. I mean, you got Dougie McBuckets, even though he's not like a young piece.
He's not a young asset.
The dude gets buckets still.
Keldon Johnson.
Yep.
They have a lot of good young pieces. I do think they need that bona fide go-to scorer because DeJounte Murray is not that. He can put up 20. He's a perfect second option, but he's not a first option on a good team, on a championship level winning team. But he's the ideal second option, and he's a great point guard to have.
The question is, all those young, like Josh Primo, Keldon Johnson, and all of them, they're gone if they want to get Donovan. They're literally gone. Like
it's possible.
The only untouchable of that team is DeJounte Murray right now.
That's true. That is true.
And then another team I'm really interested in, Donovan, go back home. Go home to New York. Go play for the Knicks.
I'm sorry. The Knicks have a good package if they want to offer it, and then they're going to try to make a move for New York for the Knicks. The question is, does anyone actually want to play for the Knicks anymore?
Julius Randle obviously did.
Did he want to, or he was just happy with that contract?
Like, happy, but
I feel like the whole attraction to New York thing died because of how much media scrutiny there is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but you look at the core that they have, though. I mean, you got Emmanuel Quickly, you got RJ Barrett,
who are probably going to be traded for Donovan Mitchell.
Well, I don't think the Knicks are going to give up RJ Barrett and the deal.
They might have to if the Heat offered Tyler Hero.
Come on, bro. After what Tyler Hero did in the playoffs.
I mean, there's reports around the league that like Tyler Hero is the Godfather level deal that the Jazz want. I don't know how accurate it is. I'm not the Jazz front office. I don't talk to the Jazz front office, but those are the reports that he is the player that if you offer him, the Jazz are probably gonna say yes.
And then I'm just gonna say this as a sleeper team, Portland. I mean,
I say Denver.
Oh, that's right, Denver too.
Denver. I think Denver could be hungry to make a big splash, and I think having Mitchell next to Jokic would be a really good fitting.
The question is, if you're Denver, do you give up Jamal Murray or do you give up Michael Porter Jr.? Because in any deal, one of them has to go.
Definitely. You're not going to awfully get Mitchell for nothing, especially considering that the Jazz have a lot of leverage because he's still signed to a max contract.
Mm-hmm.
I'd definitely be willing to let Michael Porter Jr. go. I would love to keep Jamal Murray, but if you can't, you have to decide who do you prefer as a player.
Just think about this. We go back and look at the bubble years. First round, Jazz Nuggets. Jamal and Donovan Mitchell are battling it literally together, putting up 50 and 40 points, literally game after game after game. But just imagine that on the same team with Jokic.
That was a crazy series, man. That was a crazy series. Didn't the Jazz blow a 3-1 lead as well?
3-1, yeah.
Yeah.
3-1 lead in that series. But it's still insane to think about it though. Like you got Jokic, and we know Jokic, top 3 best passer in the league. And you can see him dishing it to
If Jokic has Mitchell and Murray to throw it to, he's going to have a ball. His MVP, he's going to be an MVP in the next 2 years. In that case,
easily.
he's going to average 15 assists.
The Nuggets are going to be probably the 1 seed, 2, maybe the 2 seed, 3 seed, somewhere in between.
There's going to be a lot of questions on the defensive side of the ball. If they can figure it out on the defense side of the ball, then yes. But they can definitely win a chip.
If that actually goes down, the Nuggets, they just need to go to free agency and look for like a JaVale McGee.
Look for 3-and-D. Just look for 3-and-D.
Or even like rim protectors.
Oh yeah, the defensive players.
McGee, someone like that. Because like McGee came in to Golden State, won championships, proved himself, went to the Lakers, won a championship. And then he proved himself, even though the Suns didn't win this year, he still proved himself.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our last and final topic. We're going to be talking about our 3 most excited and 3 least excited teams for this next NFL season. Do you want to get it started off with your 3 most excited?
All right, most excited. Obviously, we got to start in the AFC West. The AFC West is super stacked. I'm going to go with Denver Broncos. I think they've always been a quarterback away for a while now. That defense is top tier. They probably have the best secondary in football. They have great linebackers and a great D-line. Their offensive line is solid enough. They have really good weapons with Sutton, Jared Judy, depending on how his situation works now with the arrest. Javonte Williams is a dog on the running back. I think they have Melvin Gordon back as well, who provides a really good 1-2 punch. And now they have Russell Wilson. The issue with Russell Wilson has always been his consistency throughout the season, as he starts the season off pretty strong, but doesn't really finish the season really strong. We'll see now with a new system, a new coach, a new environment, that changes. But I think that team has been a quarterback away for a minute to become a contender. And I think with the right Russell Wilson, they've become a contender.
The one thing that scares me about Russ is the past years is injury issues.
I mean, that's another thing that plays a part.
Will that offensive line be able to protect him?
I think they have a better offensive line than whatever Seattle had. Let's get that out of the way. That helps a lot. Yeah. I wouldn't say they have an elite offensive line, but they have one that's good enough.
Okay. So then I'm gonna go with 1-2 right away. And I'm gonna stick in the same division.
Best division in football?
I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
It's a good team.
I mean, they were 1 play away from making it to the wild card. You got Herbert still there. I mean, you still got Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. You still got Jared Cook.
Austin
Eckler too at the running back. So I mean, great offense so far. And then you move to their defense. They added Khalil Mack, even though Khalil's been injured the last how many years? It's still Khalil Mack though.
No, yeah, Khalil Mack when he plays is still Khalil Mack.
And their defense it got a lot better than what it was last season too. But I honestly feel like the Chargers are going to run away with this division. They're going to come out with it.
You forgot how nasty that secondary is. They added J.C. Jackson as well.
Yep. They still
J.C. Jackson.
They still got James in the secondary too.
Yeah, they have Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr. as well. Nazir Adderley is nasty as fuck too.
So who is your second team?
I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints.
Ooh.
I think this was interesting because we don't know what their quarterback situation is going to look like. We assume Jameis Winston is their starter. We forget that Jameis Winston 2 years ago or 3 years ago threw for 5,030 TDs. The 30 interceptions don't look good either, but 30 TDs and 5,000 yards isn't an easy feat to do. We forget who Jameis Winston can be at times. I think their offense got much better adding Jarvis Landry. They get Michael Thomas back. They drafted Chris Olave. They still have Alvin Kamara. Their offensive line is still pretty decent, even if they lost Armstead. I think their defense is still pretty solid as well. And who'd they hire as head coach again? Who's their new head coach? It was
the Saints?
Yeah.
I know they got rid of
Yeah, Sean Payton retired.
Sean Payton retired.
And there was a
They hired Dennis Allen,
Dennis Allen, yes, defensive sided coach.
which is I mean, for the Saints, it all depends on what Jameis does.
It all depends on Jameis Winston. If we get a good Jameis Winston, this team, I'm not gonna say can win the division because they've had the Bucks with Tom Brady, but they'll definitely be a wild card team, especially in a pretty weak NFC this year. And they can make a lot of noise in the playoffs if Jameis Winston is Jameis Winston.
To back up on Jameis, though, he had a great start to the season too.
He was playing pretty decently before the injuries. Yeah,
he shredded the Packers week 1, and then the problem with that Saints team though is they won week 1, but then they had a terrible loss.
That offense was really injured, and they had no weapons whatsoever. But now you have 3 weapons.
Very true. So my next team, I'm going to South Beach. I'm going with the Dolphins. I mean, like, I feel like a lot of people have mixed feelings about the Dolphins this year. I'm really high on them, not just because them adding Tyreek Hill to the roster, but from seeing what Tua has been doing in the offseason, he's looking a lot more accurate. He's looking a lot more confident in his throws.
He's looking like Alabama Tua.
Yeah, and we're not looking, or what we are seeing, we're not looking at a Tua that is gonna dump the ball off to Gesicki 3 yards down the field, or give Jalen Waddle a drag or a slant route and just have him go. I think Tua is gonna be bombing the ball like 30, 40, 50 yards down the field.
The thing with Tua is that a lot of people don't realize that the Dolphins had the worst offensive line in football last year, to the point where Tua, I think, had like 2 seconds to throw it every play almost, which is why he couldn't throw it deep to begin with. Obviously, they made moves getting Connor Williams and getting Armstead to fill out the offensive line. There's still questions about the rest of the offensive line, though. Apparently, Connor Williams is going to play center instead of his usual guard. So the question now is which 2 guards are the Dolphins going to use? I'd assume Robert Hunt stays. I don't know who the other guard will be. I want to take a bold claim of Liam will be the guard opposed to Armstead. And then the question is who's our left tackle, or the right tackle going to be, which is Tua's blind side. Because Armstead will play the left. There's talks about Austin Jackson, who's been a major bust for the Dolphins so far, to be their right tackle this season, to move him from left to right. We'll see how that works.
But like, looking at what the Dolphins have, though, their O-line still isn't looking.
It looks better now with Armstead and Connor Williams. Robert Hunt was decent as well last year, but there's still two holes that you have to figure out.
The Tua just needs to hope his line gives him like 5 seconds in the pocket, except for like 2 this year. Just year by year, let's get a little bit better, give Tua more time. But this is Tua's year, though. If he doesn't perform well, I feel like
that is time to trade him. Yeah,
it's time to go. But I don't want to see that, because I think Tua is the piece. But the piece that is making Tua not good is the Dolphins' O-line.
We also, if you're going to talk about Dolphins, we also talk about Mike McDaniel, who's given so much life to this team that we've never seen this team look like before.
I mean, he was the assistant. I mean, not he was over in San Francisco. I mean,
the OC, yeah.
And he had to coach Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean,
He made Jimmy Garoppolo look really good too.
Yeah. And we all know Jimmy Garoppolo is not that good. But I mean, they made it to the NFC Championship game. So I mean, like,
he made it to Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2 or 3 years ago.
It's gonna be South Beach is gonna be booming with the Dolphins and the Heat this next.
I mean, with Tyreek Hill was the first player I've ever seen as a Dolphins fan. First time I've seen a player actually go, I want to play in Miami. Never seen that before.
And we're not talking about like, I want to play in the Heat or anything like that.
We're not talking about we just threw a bag at him and he's like, yeah, I want to go there. He like chose. He had to make a choice between 2 teams, and he actually went, I want Miami.
Let's be honest. Tua didn't want to go to anywhere. I mean, not Tua. Tyreek didn't want to go anywhere else but Miami. Let's be honest about that.
For sure. But the fact that an actual player that's on that level once it comes to Miami. I've never seen that before. That gives us some life that I've never seen before.
So who is your third and last team for your most?
All right, I'm gonna go with a bold one here. I'm gonna say the Indianapolis Colts. I know you're not really high on this one, and I get why, because Matt Ryan is inconsistent at times.
I have the Colts in my lease right now.
I think the thing is, I also think like the Broncos, they're a team that's been a quarterback away. Maybe not to the extent of the Broncos. I do think the Colts have a worse off defense than the Broncos do. They got to figure out some things on defense side of the ball. But they had the number one running back in football last year, with obviously a big asterisk considering all the injuries. But the number one running back in football last year in Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor is that guy. He's a really good running back. They have some really good weapons on offense with Michael Pittman. They can definitely score teams out if they have a good quarterback. I wanted to see Sam Ehlinger as a starting quarterback. For some reason, I really think he can do well in that role. But if he doesn't, it's Matt Ryan time. We'll see what Matt Ryan can do.
But like the same thing with him though, he's gonna be learning under Matt Ryan ain't gonna be in the Hall of Fame. Let's be honest. I don't think Matt Ryan's good enough to be in the Hall of Fame, but like he's that type of caliber player that you want to be under though. I mean, he's succeeded in the league, and that's what young quarterbacks need. They need to develop under a quarterback that's been successful. For example, Rodgers and Favre. I mean, Favre was successful. Rodgers came in, learned. Favre left. Rodgers came in. I mean, it was rough the first couple seasons, but then it built up, and now look at Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history.
I mean, sometimes you just got to give a quarterback a chance. Simple as that.
That's very true.
Look at Russell Wilson. No one thought he was going to start his rookie year. People thought Matt Flynn was going to be the starter, and he got beat out by a rookie quarterback who was drafted in the third round. Nobody expected to be that guy.
Let's be honest. Matt Flynn.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Trash.
Yeah. Looking now in hindsight, yeah. But back at the time, all we saw from Matt Flynn was just 2 garbage time games for the Packers, and we thought he was the guy.
I don't want to remember those games.
I think sometimes a quarterback just needs a chance.
But going back to Jonathan Taylor, UW Madison. Let's go, baby.
Good running back. He's a really good running back.
But my last team, I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that division is still weak. I mean, everyone looks at the Cowboys. They're like, oh, the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl, especially all Cowboys fans.
How about them boys?
No. The Cowboys had their time. I can't pick the Cowboys this year. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I mean, Jalen Hurts is so unpredictable. I mean, last year he played all right, but now since he got AJ Brown, a good, reliable number 1 receiver, and what they did in the draft too. I mean, after trading like their first round pick and all that away, but they still collected a lot of young pieces that a bright future is coming back to Philly. And if you're Philadelphia Eagles fans, be ready to run the East for the next upcoming years in the future.
I want to say upcoming years because the NFC East has been very one season based in recent times. I think we haven't had a back-to-back winner in so long in that division.
Probably since like Romo or someone like that.
Yeah,
like Eli Manning back in the day.
It's been a minute for them, yeah. So I'm not going to say run the East until I see what you guys do next year and how you guys look. But I do like that team too. I think they did a really good draft. Now they have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith at your receivers. Dallas Goedert as your tight end. I don't know how I feel about your running back still. I don't like Miles Sanders.
Another thing I like about the Eagles too, they played the Bucs well enough than what they were expected to.
They did. They really did. They surprised a lot of teams.
And that's why I'm saying a bright future in Philly, because I mean Jalen Hurts, he didn't have a good game, but it's still playoff experience. That's what you want out of a young quarterback, is to get that good playoff experience.
If Jalen Hurts is that guy, then this team is in a good position. The question is, he just like Tua, is he that guy? Because he'll look the part at times and he won't look the part at times.
And then a team I have in the middle that I couldn't decide if I wanted to add it to my low or to my high, I have the Raiders. I know you don't trust Derek Carr, but being a Packers fan and seeing Devontae go there, I mean, I have to throw a little bit of extra
Of course,
cheer out to Devontae, even though
the
he left my
best
team.
best route runner in football.
It's sad. It's sad to see him go, but like he's got a little part in my heart right now. And I want him to succeed, but I don't think it's with Derek Carr.
I do think the Raiders have a really good defense. I do like a lot of pieces on the Raiders. They might be a team that's a quarterback away, depending on what Derek Carr we get. I just think Derek Carr is the definition of in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's good enough to win you games, but he's also not good enough to win you other games. That's my issue with Derek Carr.
So do you want to start off with your least then?
With my least, let's see. The first team I'm gonna go with is the New England Patriots. I'm not saying that simply because they play in our division. I look at their offense and it's just so vanilla to me. Their defense is good. Their defense will always be good. Bill Belichick will always make sure they have a top 10 defense. And it's Bill Belichick as well. I might be talking this and then Bill Belichick out of nowhere pulls out a top 10 offense because it's Bill Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
But Mac Jones does not convince me. He has no talent to me whatsoever. He is put in the best position possible in a system where you're coach under Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is always going to make sure you have easy reads.
Yep.
But I look at the receiving core. I don't see much. I don't see much in the running. Actually, no, I like Damon Harris is a really good running back. But that's about it. You have two really okay tight ends in Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, but I don't like the way they were running last year.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, there's rumors that Bill Belichick is frustrated with the offense in the OTAs. He doesn't like the way it looks. It is Bill Belichick. That could just be a smokescreen because Bill Belichick is a god at that. But when I look at this offense, I'm just not convinced by it. They don't move me.
They spent so much money last offseason and they didn't perform as well as everyone thought they were going to. But they had a rookie quarterback, so I mean, like
they were a game away from division.
I mean, you're not going to expect a rookie quarterback to carry you all the way because that's like rarely seen, But I'm gonna flip it. I have the Colts, and I think I don't see Matt Ryan I don't think he's the guy. He chokes. He doesn't come up clutch. And I don't blame Carson Wentz in week 18 when they lost to the Jags. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's Jonathan Taylor. He gonna do him, but like I just don't trust Matt Ryan, especially after what happened in Atlanta. They had one good year, and then the dude just fell off. I mean, I haven't seen Matt Ryan on a highlight reel in like 10 years probably. Okay, that's a little over exaggerating, but since it's like the Super Bowl year, but like,
I mean, you also understand that Atlanta was going through a lot. Julio Jones was battling injuries. Calvin Ridley was apparently gambling on games.
But what is your second?
My second team? Let's see. Who would I go with? I'm going to go the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Respectable.
I think their defense is always going to be elite. Mike Tomlin's also a really good defensive coordinator. But once again, I'm just not convinced by their offense. Their number one receiver is Deontay Johnson, who is known to drop balls. He wants a max contract extension. It's like, don't drop the pen when you sign.
They lost Juju. Even though Juju's out here doing TikTok dances during the game and not focusing.
I'll say Najee Harris is nasty.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Najee Harris is nasty. They don't have an offensive line.
I mean, they have Pickett. Is Pickett? Do you think Pickett? Are they going to start him? Because reports are Pickett's been showing out during OTAs, and he's performing well.
I mean, it's OTAs. We gotta keep an eye on. It's a rookie quarterback. Everyone looks good in OTAs.
Do you see the Steelers starting with Trubisky or Pickett?
I think they're going to start with Trubisky. They're going to go for the more sure thing. I can see Kenny Pickett taking over after like week 5, week 6. I don't know how much I can trust Kenny Pickett. I didn't like any of the quarterbacks in this draft class.
Do
None
you
of
think
them
it
really,
was a reach by the Steelers taking a quarterback this year?
no, because they needed one bad. They needed
They
one really
had,
bad, and Kenny Pickett is like has a affiliation with the city already,
mhm.
so I think it's not a bad pick. I get it. I'm just not convinced by their offense. I think if you're going to put a rookie quarterback with no offensive line, it doesn't end well most of the time. I'll give it like an 8 out of 10 times. It's not end well. I don't trust a lot of his weapons outside of Najee. And the defense is going to be the defense. The Pittsburgh defense, steel curtain, always going to be a good defense.
So my next team is this is gonna be a shocking one. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I feel like the loss of Tyreek Hill is gonna be the moment of truth to see if Mahomes can make all right receivers good receivers. I mean, you have Juju, but like I said when he brought up the Steelers, the dude's gonna be out there doing his TikTok dances the entire time. I don't trust Juju at all, even though I wish he was in Green Bay a couple years ago, but not anymore. I mean, you still got Travis Kelce. You can always rely on Travis Kelce. He's going to show up. Another issue is the running back. I don't trust Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's injured too much. So I feel like the Chiefs are going to have a rough year. I feel like a lot of people have them doing good this year. No, not at all.
I'll see, because Pat Mahomes is a very talented quarterback. I think he finds players in really interesting situations. I also think he just lacked a good second string receiver for most of the time there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, having Tyreek helps, but who are his second string receivers? Sammy Watkins will play like 3 games this season.
Yeah. I mean, the Packers and the Chiefs pretty much just traded Watkins for Valdez-Scantling. So
I forgot they have MVS now.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't drop the pen on his signing contract.
I mean, I liked MVS in Green Bay, but I'm excited to see what Sammy does.
Wait. He just dropped another pass.
So Chiefs fans, y'all better watch out.
We'll see what their offense looks like. I mean, I also don't like their defense that much. I don't think it's a championship winning defense.
Travis Kelce about to have like a 2,000 receiving yard season.
I'm honestly, Travis Kelce kind of scares me because a tight end getting up there in age, injuries are going to start to creep up. I hope he doesn't get injured. I hope. I'm not wishing that on anybody. I don't want that. But it is something we have to keep into account.
Definitely not. But like, let's see. MVS was a good second, third string target for Rodgers.
Dropped another pass.
Okay. Oh, and then Juju. I mean, Juju's gonna be Juju. He's gonna be.
Juju's really good at as a slot receiver or as a second string receiver, but he's not the number one guy.
Juju's gonna be out there and he's gonna be doing slant routes, but except for running the slant, he's gonna be doing the giddy the entire way over there. He's like, throw me the ball.
I'm open.
Nope. So who's your last team?
The Tennessee Titans.
Okay, fair enough. I mean,
I think with running back history, once one injury comes in, multiple injuries come out. That's something we got to keep an eye on with Derrick Henry, which sucks because Derrick Henry is such a monster. I think Ryan Tannehill regressed really badly last year, and that's my guy. I think if he starts regressing like that, I don't see him having another leap this year. The team lost a lot. Obviously, getting rid of A.J. Brown does not help. Julio Jones is no longer in that team. Their secondary isn't good to me. There's just a lot of questions in this team and not a lot of answers right at the moment.
I feel like the Titans are going to make a big splash next offseason.
Maybe
it's time for them to draft a quarterback.
And I mean, they did technically.
Well, yeah.
Malik Willis.
It's not looking bright. It's not looking bright because Tannehill pretty much just said, I'm their guy. I don't care about you. This is my show. Well,
I mean, he's gonna say that, but Malik Willis also said he was the first one to call him, and they both talked, and I'm sure he's gonna teach him stuff and stuff like that. But like, I also don't blame Ryan Tannehill for looking at him as a backup right now. and that is his show. He's still the starter of the team. He's still QB1. I'm
Well,
sure the idea is for Malik Willis to sit down a year or two and then become the starting quarterback. But you also don't want to like have the ideology that, oh, he's going to replace me.
well, Ryan, I got a scary message for you. If you play like how you played last year, it's not going to be your show anymore.
Yeah, if Derrick Henry isn't healthy, that team that team does not put fear into my heart. And
So
the
my
AFC South is still the worst division in football.
easily. So my last team, I'm gonna go with the Arizona Cardinals. I think everyone knows the main reason why is Kyler Murray's have had a very dramatic offseason, deleting all of his posts on Instagram, wanting a contract extension, but he had a good start to the year. I mean, I'll admit it. The Cardinals. I think everyone thought that the Cardinals were going to be a top contender in the NFC at the beginning of last season, the way they started. But then after Rodgers came in and beat the Cardinals, I think that's when it started going downhill. Injuries started to derail the team. They just lost Christian Kirk. It's all gonna be based around if Kyler Murray plays or not. If Kyler plays, they might be a wild card team, and if he doesn't, we all know where they're gonna go.
I think there's a lot of question marks in Arizona right now. How will Kyler Murray respond to everything happening? Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins is out for the first 6 games with a suspension. AJ Green is once again your number one receiver, which is not something you necessarily want in 2022, which sucks because prime AJ Green was nasty.
He's just old.
Yeah, he's just up there in age and injuries caught up to him. He was always injured. Obviously James Conner is your first string running back, which is very interesting.
No,
I guess prediction.
no.
Their offensive line is questionable. They've lost a lot on defense, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Their defense is very mid.
Because Chandler Jones, he's
out of there. Yeah, he went to
gone.
Oakland. To Vegas, my bad. Vegas.
Oh no. Now you're gonna be having Oakland fans at you now.
The Bay Area coming from my neck.
But Kyler Murray, if you want that contract extension, if you want that big money, like how Mahomes got, like how Rodgers got, you gotta perform. You gotta perform.
He can perform. He can perform though. I like Kyler Murray as a quarterback. He can perform. The question is, will the team perform?
He's undersized. Injuries. It's all about injuries because he got injured last year.
The whole team got injured last year.
That's very true. But that's going to wrap it for tonight. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you guys got any like discussion questions or potential topics for next time, let us know down below. But from Check the Rock,
all our social media should be in the description.
And we will catch you all in the next one.
See you later, Space Cowboy.
Peace.